I'm sick and tired of my vocal production just not being good enough. My name's Kisos, I'm an alt-pop musician, and I've been releasing music for about 10 years now. 90% of it is self-produced, mixed, mastered, all of that stuff. And while my production has gotten better, my vocals have gotten better, my mixing, my mastering, basically everything else, my vocal production is just so meh. And I've been so frustrated for so long trying to do little tweaks here and there from track to track, and it's just not enough. So before I released my latest single, Sludge, out everywhere now, I made a challenge for myself. Every single day, I would follow a new vocal production tutorial, basically put myself through a boot camp. I did 4 tutorials, 1 day spent on each, and at the end of the week, I basically chose which one sounded best, and then I took little bits and pieces I learned along the way and made it my final vocal chain, specifically for my voice and specifically for this song. All of the videos that I followed, I think, have very valuable insight. Different videos and walkthroughs are going to work better for different voices and different songs. So definitely check all of them out. Try this challenge yourself. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's what my vocals sounded like before.
I left you there in the dumpster, covered in sludge. Said that it's your bread and butter, that you eat too much, yeah. The odor is overwhelming. My arms are tired from scrubbing. Did you think no one would notice? Open source that you're exposing. I'm covered in.
Okay, so you can hear it really gets shrill. I figured this is one of the most challenging parts to make fit into the mix. So this is the part that I focused on. I did redo a lot of these vocals in the end because I realized that was also a big part of it. But there's certain things about your voice that are just gonna be like that. And I wanted to know how to control those little shrill pieces without taking away the full character of my voice. I'll walk you through my chain a little bit of what I had. You can see I was only using like 3 returns. I had a shorter reverb. I'm just going to show you the reverb itself. 1.72 seconds decay. And I had a pretty standard quarter note delay with a little bit of wideness because it's offset. Then I had a bigger reverb at 4.23 seconds decay. And that was it. That's all I used. When I listened to that version, it's not bad. It's funny because before I started filming, I was listening and I was like, ooh, it sounds so dry. It just isn't sitting well at all. And it actually sounds better now. You'll see as we listen through more and compare how adding in little bits more of atmosphere here and there, instead of feeling like, oh my God, I just have to turn this reverb up all the way. Because the thing with me is I wanted the effects to be subtle. The more return tracks you have, the easier it is to accomplish that. Each return has to work not as hard. Same thing with series compression. You know, you're having each compressor do a little bit instead of one of them knocking it down like 15 decibels. It's like 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 10 here, 5 here, 2 here, something like that. So anyway, let's walk you through what I have on my vocals. Okay, so cutting out below 90 hertz, which honestly is probably pretty high. Using an SSL EQ to boost around 8,000, around 4,500, and around between like 1,500 to 2,000. I usually do 1.6 to 1.7 for my voice, then just a little cut under 200K. And let's look at how the compressor's hitting.
The odor is overwhelming.
It's hitting really hot.
The odor is overwhelming.
Like 10, maybe even a hint of 14. And that was too much. So that's why I did turn it down in later ones. But I wanted this to just be purely how I had it. Then I use a little Oxford inflator to add some more saturation and fill out a little more body, more compression, and some de-essing because I added a good amount of high end through that SSL, and then a little bit of limiting to just cut off the tippy tops. of peaks. This is a chain that I kind of put together after watching a lot of Panorama Mixing and Mastering and Hardcore Music Studio, which is the first chain that we'll actually listen to. They usually work on harder music, like, you know, heavy rock and stuff. This is a pop track, but it does have heavier aspects to it. You don't hear it so much in this version of the track because this is a little bit older, and we're not playing the chorus here, but I just figured, let me follow him to a T, see what he's gonna do. So this is how it sounds with him. And I'm gonna A-B from the first one to this one.
I left you there in the dumpster, covered in sludge. Said that it's your bread and butter, that you eat too much, yeah. The odor is overwhelming. My arms are tired from scrubbing.
So this one already sounds, you can hear the improvement in the space. And it's funny because I actually am not even using this shorter reverb on this track. I'm just using more delays and more of that big reverb. The only issue with this one for me was it still felt like too shrill. And I think that's because he pushes EQ really hard on the voices that he works with, because I think that works for the genre he's working with. But because this song is a little calmer than that, I don't think it fully translated. But let me walk you through the channel. We started out with some inbound.
I left you there in the dumpster. The odor is overwhelming.
You can see I usually have it hit around 10 because I think that's what he told me to do. And that was just something I was doing with everything. Then we have the SSL channel.
The odor is overwhelming.
Still doing a little compression. And you can see I pushed it less here than I did in that first one.
The odor is overwhelming.
Have even more compression there. 3 compressors still. One difference is I did put some saturation on this one, tape saturation.
The odor is overwhelming. The odor is overwhelming.
It's subtle, but you know, it's a nice thing. We still have the limiter. And then I used the wide delay, the big reverb. I added a Haas effect delay, so it just adds a little widening.
The odor is overwhelming.
You can hear it's more stereo versus central. And then I did another one of that.
The odor is overwhelming.
It's a little bit larger than that first one. And then one thing that I had never used before that I really liked that he did was Echo Boy plus micro shift, and you get this thickening effect.
The odor is overwhelming.
Here, let me just turn that up for everyone.
The odor is overwhelming. The odor is overwhelming.
Okay. So you can hear, and it sounds better for sure. But I really wanted to control that shrillness. I took a little bit of that and I brought it to the next one by Darrell Thorp. And this specifically was for handling and controlling shrill vocals. So I was like, hell yes, girl, let's get into it. Let's hear how the shrill part sounds.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
And compare that to this.
My arms are tired.
My arms are tired, you really hear it. But honestly, it can kind of be controlled more.
My arms are tired.
Oh, that one you really hear though.
My arms are tired from.
It's like slightly controlled here. So what we did on this one was a similar inbound compression of,
My arms are tired.
6 to 10-ish dB reduction. We have a 76 after that. You can see the EQ on this one is very different.
My arms are tired.
That one's really a whistle right here. You can hear that it's attacking the parts that we want to get rid of. And then Curves Equator to just help control that high end.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
Those mid highs in my voice. Let's see it without.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
Yeah, you can hear the difference. If you have headphones on, I can hear it. It's shrill and it hurts. I did go back and add fresh air to some of these, and I shouldn't have. I tampered with some of these after the fact.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
I think it's better without that. Darrell was good because I felt like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. I'm kind of controlling those mid-highs, that shrill part that just was not sounding good. Next, we have a video by IZZY. I had watched his video before and I was like, this sounds like really similar to what I'm doing and I like it and I want to try it. And I also liked that he more just like a regular musician, so to speak, like me, versus like this professional in a studio. Because I liked the way the vocals he worked on sounded. So I was like, okay, perfect. Whatever he's using, that's a very similar setup to what I'm doing. So let's compare.
The odor is overwhelming. My arms are tired from scrubbing.
It's not bad, but it was still sticking out to me. So let's see what we did here. We used the CLA 76 on the Blackie mode, which I never really use. I usually do blue, so that was interesting.
The odor is overwhelming.
Then we have some more SSL, putting it up like way higher. Instead of like 8,000, we're doing like between 13 and 14K here. 4 decibels. I didn't really push that high mids at all because this is where I started to notice that was the issue. And then I did push the kind of 1.6-ish.
The odor is overwhelming.
So you can see this time I'm also pushing the compressors harder. The 76, here we have this SSL2, and then I actually have another 76.
The odor is overwhelming.
On this all mode, which makes it trigger and release super fast. And I didn't hate this one, but it still just wasn't quite giving me the juice I wanted. And you can see I did start to use a few more of the reverbs. The returns. So we have this short reverb back in, the long reverb. I don't actually even have the main delay on this one. I just have kind of these Haas delays. And it doesn't sound bad at all. But yes, I was like, let's keep going. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. I'm starting to feel something. And then this is the one, spoiler alert, that won for me. There were some things in here that I had not done on other tracks, and I thought it was really interesting.
The odor is overwhelming. My arms are tired from scrubbing.
It doesn't sound shrill at all to me here. What did we do different? We do have the short reverb back on. The delay is about the same. We actually have less of that big reverb. We have less of these delays and a little bit more of this thickener. So it seems like overall we kind of have less like atmosphere reverb delays on it, but it sounds still very strong, full. And let's look through the chain a little bit. So this is where things started to get different. So we have sort of an SSL thing here, like I used in the others, but this was a lot of cutting first. So I did add a little bit around 14K, similar to in the IZZY chain. And then we cut around 6K, which is where I had been boosting for a while. I cut like 1.5 decibels around 6K. I cut some decibels around 2.5K. And I cut a little around 283 as well as around 100. And honestly, I feel like you can really hear a difference just in that. And then we do our compression, our basically equivalent of a 76 type thing, and then a 2A type thing. And then we added a little bit more EQ back in and cut a little bit more out actually. So I added 3 decibels at 12K, took out 2 more at 2K, added a bit at 800, took out a little bit more at 200, went to de-essing, and a trick I learned from him was actually using 2 different de-essers for 2 different ranges, and I really like that. I actually usually don't have de-essers hit this hard, but I think in the past I hadn't been using them strong enough. But one of them is meant to capture more of the S sounds, and then the other one's meant to catch more of the like sh and ch sounds. This one's probably the sh and ch since it didn't really trigger on that S. And then we have a little bit more compression. So we have the typical kind of like 2 compressors here. But then he actually uses RVox compressor from Waves, but I don't have that. So I used this other one and I did a tiny bit of upward compression and a tiny bit more of downward compression to just kind of even out the levels. then even more EQ. And you can see I did some crazy shit here. See, I'm like so tempted to change it. So I cut again, like a harder cut to just get rid of the bass end that we don't need, a little bit more where it was kind of boomy bassy down here. And I did, it's kind of funny because I cut around 2500, but then I added it back in here. And then I cut a little bit more at 5K, 7K, 9.5. And this is a huge boost, but most of it isn't even hitting. Like the human ear hears up to 20K, and that's like 20K. So we're probably hearing more like a +3, +4, if that, at the very top end of our hearing. That's why I did something crazy like that. And then we have the tape saturation I added back in, which I hadn't used on a couple of these last ones. And then the Pro L, the limiter to just catch the peaks. And then we have the final. Well, kind of. This is the final version from the Bootcamp. And here's how it sounded.
I left you there in the dumpster, covered in sludge. Said that it's your bread and butter. We too much, yeah.
I just kind of want to compare it against the Make Pop one since I took most of that one. That was kind of the winner for me.
The odor is overwhelming. The odor is overwhelming.
You can hear just a tiny bit more presence because I added this fresh air plugin, which was actually from a video that I started following the tutorial and I just really didn't like it, but I did like that plugin and I think it's free.
My arms are tired from scrubbing. My arms are tired from scrubbing.
You can see now I'm using everything. I'm using the short reverb and more than that one. I'm using the wide delay. I'm using, although a little bit less, though I'm using the longer reverb, although a little bit less. The Haas effect delay, which just gives a little widening. This other delay that's a little bit wider version of that same thing, which I didn't use on the Make Pop music chain. And then we have that doubler thickener.
The odor is overwhelming. My arms are tired from scrubbing. Did you think no one would notice?
So you can see the EQ is pretty much exactly the same. I did lower this filter. Everything's hitting about the same. What I added in my own was just, you know, tweaking the effects a little bit more. I added this in, although I did change that later because it does sound like it's not quite doing it. I think I just finessed the de-essing a little bit more. This second compressor, I finessed a little bit more of the settings. Only main difference I added was adding a little bit more of those EQ cuts after all the compression. That's some shrill, squeaky peakies there. And then you can see I have that kind of crazy EQ that I did on the other one as well. Now let me take you into the final project file so you can hear what that verse sounds like with the finished production, the finished chain. I'm just gonna walk you through all the final settings that I used on that thing.
I left you there in the dumpster, covered in sludge. Said that it's your bread and butter. Did you eat too much? Yeah. The odor is overwhelming. My arms are tired from scrubbing. Did you think no one would notice? Open source that you're exposing. I'm covered in sludge. And now I'm covered in sludge.
Let's listen to that shrill part again.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
It's not so shrill anymore, the first one.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
Oh, see, now it sounds gross. When you compare, you're like, ew! Okay.
My arms are tired from scrubbing.
So that's my shootout. What did you think? Did you even hear a difference between the beginning and the ending? I hope you did. Now after that bootcamp, I feel like my vocal production doesn't suck anymore. I understand a lot more of what I need to do, and I have a formula that, at least for now, it's just a base that I can always follow that I know is strong for my voice. And the more I play with it, the more things I'll figure out, the more I'll add new tactics and techniques into it. Comparing where it started to where it ended, there's no comparison. Oh my God. From Stinky Minky to Lovely Jubbly. I'm very happy. And all it took was like an hour and a half each day. But that's the thing. I spent all these years to get to that point, and then I spent a week to get to this point. That's it. You know, if you want to increase your vocal production exponentially, try this challenge I did. I'm gonna link all of the videos I used so you can try them out for yourself. Let me know if there's other challenges like this I should do. I hope this inspires you to go make music. I hope this inspires you to up your game, because we all need to up our games all the time and just feel proud of ourselves and what we're accomplishing. I mean, making music is so hard. Being an indie musician is so hard. Doing it yourself is even harder. And I just want us all to succeed. So hit me up, say hello, ask me for advice, give me advice, whatever you need, whatever you're thinking. Thank you so much for hanging out. My name's Kisos, and go check out my new song, Sludge.